Well, we're turning our attention now to the dreaded coronavirus, COVID-19. But we can blow our cheeks out now, but I'll tell you why in a moment. But at the moment, we do have Dr. Olaosebikan here with us, OON. He is the founder of Healthcare Group and former Commissioner of Health in Kwara State. Good morning, sir, and thank you for coming.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to be here. Good morning,
well,
Nigerians.
I did say that we could blow our cheeks out because in Lagos there was this scare that there was a Chinese who was in a hospital in Ikeja, and so Lagos State government said yes, we've tested the person. It was moved to the confinement center. So they put out a press release this morning, the Lagos State Commissioner for Health, and he says it is negative. Professor Tubosun Gumao, Director of Public Affairs, put up that press release. So they say it is negative. So thankfully, we could blow our cheeks out. But then, that notwithstanding, we had to just, in fact, as a matter of fact, the NCDC in Nigeria have said there is no confirmed case. 11 suspected cases, they were tested and all turned out negative. So thankfully, but it's something that we have to keep a focus on and ensure that we keep doing the right thing. So having seen all of this ones, expectedly, you're delighted, I reckon.
Yeah, I'm delighted, and I must say that there's a good medical vigilance system in Lagos State, and all the states should emulate Lagos State in Nigeria. In fact, Lagos State is ahead of so many countries in Africa as far as medical preparedness is concerned. You will remember that in 2004, there was this outbreak of Ebola virus in Nigeria. Ebola virus was also a viral disease. Coronavirus is also a viral disease. But Lagos also contained Ebola virus, stopped it from being spread to the other part of Nigeria. And so that preparedness in Lagos is always there. Lagos is always expecting risky diseases, and they are expecting, and they have the system. And I think this is very good for Lagos State, and other states should emulate what has been set up in Lagos State, which are not in other states.
Some of the, much as yes, this is a good case, it's negative, but part of what caused the stir, as many also highlighted, was they thought that the kinds of persons who sent out emails to certain persons, there were high-ranking officials who sent out those emails, and they thought, how did they come to that conclusion? Only for Lagos State government to test and find that it is negative. So there were questions about how this communication went out in the first place, if that's all you heard about.
Well, this is the area where we have to also warn people of spreading fake news, unconfirmed information and stories. Non-professionals cannot release information.
What if it's from a medical director?
The medical
or a
director
CEO of a medical
is not authorized to release such information. It can only come from the ministry, Federal Ministry of Health. It can only come from State Ministry of Health, or it can only come from the Center for Disease Control, which is also doing very well in Nigeria, and they're on top of the matter.
Now, you referenced the 2014 Ebola crisis, which Nigeria actually handled, thanks to the professionalism of some of the health workers. But then they say that with this coronavirus, it's quite different. And people are saying, fine, the cases have come out negative, but then there's the incubation period. So using that information, do you still think maybe these cases are done and dusted with?
Well, usually coronavirus has been on for many years, many decades. As far back as 2002, we had coronavirus, which causes severe acute respiratory syndrome, SARS disease. Later, we also had another variant of coronavirus, which caused middle ear respiratory syndrome, MERS. Yes. And this is the third now, and it's now called novel coronavirus because it's new. It's a variant that's new. And the incubation period is 2 to 14 days. If people don't show symptoms, there is no fear. But if somebody has symptoms, what are the symptoms? Fever, sneezing, and coughing. Coronaviruses are usually respiratory tract infection. It's like an advanced form of rhinovirus, which is a common cold, and there's no treatment for common cold. There's, most viral illnesses, there are no treatment for it.
So it runs its course.
It runs its course. It's our immunity. That's why we must have good immunity. eat well, rest well, take care of your health. Let your body be a defense for you. Let your health be your first defense. Let your body, yes, it should be your first doctor. But if you compromise your immunity, you have weakened your system and you are receptive to opportunistic infections, bacteria and viruses. So it's important that your immunity fights for you first. But if your immunity breaks down, the viruses will not attack you. But usually if the virus gets into your body, it may not show any signs until after 14 days. And that is why people also quarantine. If you start coughing, you are sneezing. But the major sign of coronavirus that is different from all form of cold is difficulty in breathing. The person will start having difficulty in breathing, what we call dyspneic attack. And once the person starts having difficulty in breathing, then it is serious, and therefore it has to be isolated, and then tests will be done, either from the nose, either from the sputum, or from the blood.
So we expect that these cases that have been proven negative are still monitored
Yes,
in the coming days?
Yeah, they're still monitored, but there should be no stigmatization. There should be no stigmatization.
Please take us through. You said something about, we'll come back to that and some of the signs that you mentioned, but take us through something you said about the immunity.
Yeah.
If you notice in the previous slide we showed earlier, there are 3 continents: Africa, South America, and that other one right up there, who do not have these signs. Is it a function of the immunity, or there is something peculiar? Look at the map, sir.
Yes, some people even say that the Africans have a natural resistance against coronavirus, and that's why out of the 54 countries in Africa, only one has had infection.
I understand two now.
Two, Algeria too.
Algeria,
Yeah. Just
and then Brazil have recorded their first case.
In the last few hours, Algeria joined. Okay. But initially it was only Egypt out of 54 countries. Algeria is near Egypt, so diseases are always traveling, through a movement, and but out of 54, only 2 of African countries have been infected. I think there is something protecting us because of our genetics, because of our environment, and because of the immunity that we have. We usually have a very hot environment in Africa. We are in the tropical region. The other part of the world are colder than us, and that is part of the thing that is causing it.
Now, you also mentioned some of those signs the other time: symptoms, cold, fever,
sneezing, coughing,
and this
the breathing
difficulty in breathing.
Once it gets to the level of having difficulty in breathing, then it is.
Do they all occur at the same time?
No, it's a gradual thing. And some people may not even manifest. They have infection, but they do not manifest.
Which is what gives me this concern. I'm about to raise this. So, from what we know about this, disease as at this moment, someone could have it in incubation process and be spreading it and not even know it.
Yes.
What do we do?
Well, the most important thing is that we should stay away from people who are coughing.
But not stigmatized.
No, don't stigmatize. Coughing, sneezing, and becoming and having fever, that person is already infected. It's the hospital that will now do the necessary clinical assessment and testing. And usually the test is immunological test. It's not an ordinary test, because we're talking of a germ attacking the immunity of the body. And so it will produce antibodies in the person's body, and it is the antibodies that will be detected through blood test or this other form of test. I think the most important thing is that once people are having symptoms, you cannot do something about 80% of people who have coronavirus infection will not show any symptom.
Do you think
only 20%? 80% will not show symptom. 20% will show symptom.
Do you think there's enough word, a strong enough word out there on the streets in the different parts of Nigeria and the rural areas and all about this outbreak?
Well, that is the challenge we have in our country. Health information is underdeveloped. Health communication is underdeveloped. People like us have championed health education in Nigeria for the past 34 years through the Healthcare magazine. But it has to become a public structure. Health education, health information has to become institutionalized. And we also have to do something about biosecurity. We must have a biosecurity plan in Nigeria, because diseases now is not just man to man. Diseases are coming from animals to human beings. Diseases are coming from the environment. These 3 things are living things. Human beings are living, animals are living, plants are living. So we must be talking of one health now, rather than just human health. We must be talking of an integrated approach to healthcare, and we must have a biosecurity plan. We should have biobank. I think some states have IDH, infectious disease hospital. Most states in Nigeria don't have special hospitals to treat infectious diseases, because you need to contain this infectious disease by isolating people, not in the general hospitals, because the disease will spread to everybody in the general hospital. Not even in the teaching hospital, where you have diseases like heart treatment, kidney treatment. So IDH is very important, and within the IDH there has to be centers for research. Medical research will have to improve. In Africa now, only 2 countries could do some tests, Senegal and South Africa. Even coronavirus is recently that we have been added with giving the reagents. We don't even have the capacity to do the diagnosis and the test before. But right now, 6 countries in Africa could diagnose. So there's a lot of underdevelopment in the medical system.
But it's said that it's spreading faster in Europe than it is in China. For instance, now, I mean, they say the epicenter in Europe is Italy, in Lombardy area. I think they've opened an investigation now into how is it that one of the hospitals, they delayed testing, that's what is being speculated, the delayed testing to this particular super spreader. They're trying to find out how did they miss all of those. Appear they just sprang up as it were. But you say 80% of the people who have this, we can't detect it.
Yes.
That makes it a lot more dangerous. So what do we do in those kind of circumstances?
Yeah, it's really dangerous, and therefore we must improve the level of our vigilance system. We must improve the level of screening system, more screening, and we must...
No, what is this screening? Just to test what? The temperature?
Temperature.
That's just it?
Temperature. If the temperature is normal, and they're not coughing, they're not sneezing.
So one can have it. You arrive at the airport.
Your temperature is normal.
And temperature is normal. You pass through.
And you're not coughing.
You're not coughing.
You're not sneezing. You pass through.
And then you may still have
it means the disease has not started.
Some have also
started.
Sorry,
in fact, the incubation period has been extended now beyond 14 days to 21 days, even to 27 days.
Yeah. Some have also raised issues about the process of incubation of this disease, because, of course, most of the movement of people that spread this has been by air. Yeah. And some have also raised the potential of that growth in the airplane. The environment in the airplane while airborne could either suppress or excavate, this process. What should people do, especially air travelers, whether international or local?
Well, first, there has been a lot of travel advisory. Stop going to China for now.
Well, Chinese
also should not come here. Presently, we have 1 million Chinese in Africa. We have 10,000 companies belonging to the Chinese in Africa. And we have like 100,000 Nigerians in China. Everybody should stay where they are now. But we should help our Nigerians who are in China if they want to come home. The government should help them, should evacuate them. And when they arrive, we test them, we screen them, no stigmatization. Once they have medical clearance, they should be allowed to enter to our country. But stop going to China for now, and the Chinese too should stay where they are. Again, inside the plane, if somebody is coughing and sneezing, you have to protect yourself, and that's where the issue of face masks come up. People who are coughing and sneezing or have the infection must try to stop spreading it to other people, because it's not right for you to transmit your disease openly just like that. So face masks for people who are coughing and sneezing, but it's not mandatory for everybody to be wearing it everywhere. It's only for people who are already showing symptoms or in the hospital.
People wear it to prevent themselves from getting it, isn't it?
But really, transmission cannot even be stopped by face mask, because viruses can penetrate and travel.
Because we're told that don't touch your nose, your mouth, wash your
but
hands
most important is
regularly.
that people should stop touching their nose and face always. You should use tissue, you should use handkerchief, and when you want to cough or sneeze, don't also cough to your hand. People also cough, put their hands in their mouth. It's better to use handkerchief or tissues, or to do this and all that. But the hand is... You say your destiny is in your hand, your disease also is in your hand.
Oh dear.
And the more you put your hand on doors and things like that, and then you put it on your face to rub, you are sending the disease to your nose. It's a respiratory disease. It goes to the nose.
Look, you talked about the function of being in an airplane and all of that, but and then you also talked about what people should do while they're in. But what's the responsibility of the airlines themselves in this matter?
Well, the airlines have they owe the people on their aircraft. It's a contract between you and them. Your safety, your health, it's a burden to the airline as long as you're in their aircraft, and they should guarantee your safety and protection. If you now have an ailment from being in their aircraft, when they can be liable for not doing what they should do.
Is there any testing before the people board the aircraft?
Well, that's why the airport authority or port health agency is now important. The government should provide them with a lot of testing materials. They should improve manpower. They should improve training. Oversight function should be improved in all the international airports. We have 6 in Nigeria, and all of them have port authority, port health department. And before you board, during the immigration checking and all that, once they see somebody is sick, they should just ask that person to step aside and do a test before you can board the flight. And if they are coming to the country too, the people in charge of port health right now should be doing 24 hours. Like we doctors, we do 24 hours in the hospital. The medical system should now be actively doing 24 hours in Nigeria.
That's round-the-clock
the airports.
vigilance.
And there are some airports now that are dedicated only for such people. In Nigeria, we have not dedicated any of our airports to receive only some flights from a certain part of the world. So in some part of the world now, if you're coming from China or those part of the area, you can't land in all the airports in their country. Like Nigeria should dedicate only 1 airport out of 6 to receive flights from that particular area.
Just China?
Yes.
But what about countries where those cases have been reported? What do we do?
Well, any flight from such places too should only go to 1 dedicated airport so that we can narrow potential importation. And then the medical system will be concentrated at that airport.
Well, you talked about bringing in Nigerians who are in China. Now, this has been really controversial, and it would appear as though you trust the health system, because for the members of the House of Reps, they don't trust the health system in the country. So do you still think Nigerians in China should be brought back home?
Well, health is a human right, and people must enjoy their rights at all time, everywhere. If Nigerians in China expresses interest to come home, we have a very active diaspora commissioner, which is commendable for this government to have set up a very good commission. They should engage with our fellow citizens who are in China, who are in Wuhan and other places. If they express desire to come home, we must assist them to come home. We cannot abandon our citizens anywhere in the world. And like I said, the airport should be dedicated for any flight from any country where CVD has been declared. Just 1 airport, not all the airports. And the medical people should be ready to receive them and to test them. And if they find that they have been infected, they should be taken to hospital for treatment.
Do we have...
There's no vaccine now for coronavirus. But do we have your body that will heal you, and then we just give supportive treatment.
Right, but is our health system strong enough? Because, I mean, for the members of the House of Reps, they thought, you know what, stay in China because China can handle this better. So can we handle that enough in the country? Are we strong enough?
Well, basically the health system we have is a developing health system. It's not so strong and it's not too weak.
Oh.
But there's vigilance. There's medical vigilance in our country now. Nigeria is ready. We're prepared to stop it, and if it comes, the system will tackle it. Because there's a lot of knowledge gained from Ebola. In fact, the Chinese are lucky because this coronavirus usually comes from them. In 2002, it's from them. In 2012, it's from them. And in 2019, it's also from them. So they have had a laboratory where they are doing research. And it's because of previous experience that they're able to even contain this. Coronavirus is already going down.
So this novel
coronavirus is on the decline.
But
as far as China is concerned,
but
because they are discharging people.
Right.
They are discharging people that are on admission and on treatment, and they are discharging them. And so it's gradually coming down.
But we're seeing spikes in South
It's
Korea,
going to other
Italy.
places,
And
yes.
you know, there's also been the talk about whether the WHO should declare this a pandemic. You see WHO saying, well, let's prepare for it. Maybe not. But you see CDC saying it's inevitable. So in fact, some scientists think it's a pandemic right now. So where do you think we stand there?
The WHO has declared a global emergency. It's a global emergency.
But not a pandemic
Not a
yet.
pandemic. They do not want to raise the alarm. They do not want to scare us. But we should all be ready in different countries to prevent it from getting to our country by having a barrier system at our airport and surveillance system just to prevent importation, because it's not a local disease. It's a disease from outside, and it can only come in through flights. And if you're able to contain it from your airport, point of entry, or land or sea or whatever, then you have already done the first thing. But if it comes and you arrest by, isolating the people that are infected and you quarantine them very well.
It's a difficult one because, I mean, when you say 80% of those who have it, no sign, no symptoms whatsoever. So if they themselves don't show any symptoms, so they won't self-quarantine for 7, 14, 21, or even 21, 7 days. So they could just move around.
They will move in. But once you are sick, you will definitely be tested. And if you are in already, even if it did not manifest because, like we said, the incubation period is long, and you enter the country, by the time it starts to manifest in form of disease, first you have infection before it becomes disease. By the time it gets to the stage of becoming a disease manifesting, then you'll be tested, and the hospital knows that the moment they test you positive, then you have to be quarantined. And once you are quarantined, that's isolation. Quarantine is just isolation. You'll be under treatment, giving you fluids, giving you oxygen, making sure your blood pressure is okay. The treatment of viral diseases is symptomatic. It's supportive. The only viral disease that has got the drug to treat now is Lassa fever. If the drug is given to a person that has Lassa fever in the early stages, the disease will be treated and successfully knocked out. And of course, Lassa fever too is a disease that was diagnosed in Nigeria. It was diagnosed in a town called Lassa in Borno State, and that's why they gave it the name Lassa fever. It was discovered in 1969. Until today, we're still having it. It shows that we're not doing what we should do as far as medical research is concerned.
Well, for now, we cough
But
like this.
it just remains.
And it's also a West African disease. You don't have Lassa fever in other places. You have it just in about 10 countries in West Africa. From Nigeria to Ghana to Togo to Sierra Leone to Liberia and to Gambia, So, and it's an annual disease. So a disease that is periodic, is predictable. Why can't we stop it? There's no vaccine, but there's an antiviral drug for it. But we can stop it because it occurs every year. Every year.
So this definitely requires...
And it's very hemorrhagic. It leads to bleeding.
Yeah.
Well,
from having fever,
with this COVID-19, eternal vigilance will be the key now. We just have to keep doing all we can while we can. We do appreciate your comment on this morning. Dr. Bola Olaosebikan, OON, the founder of Healthcare Group and former Commissioner for Health in Kwara State. Thank you again for coming on this morning.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much.